So welcome to today's webinar. Today we'll be looking at mind mapping in Ayoa. So how to create a new mind map, how to format it, the speed keys, collaborating, and a few more advanced features like creating templates, exporting, and presenting. So when you log on to Ayoa for the first time, you'll be welcomed with this homepage. If you've been working on task boards and perhaps you've never used mind maps before, just navigate back to the homepage by clicking home. Then right in the middle, we've got our option to create our mind map. So we have 3 different styles to choose from. So speed maps. So the clues in the name, that's all about getting ideas down as quickly as possible. And I'm just going to show you a mind map I've made earlier. So this is a speed map. So all the branches are very evenly spaced apart, and that's done automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about moving things. The text is contained within these boxes, so it's really easy to read, especially if maybe you're new to mind mapping and you're struggling to stick to one word per branch, or perhaps you need, a little bit more information in there. So the other view we have available is the organic view. And you can switch between these 3 views at any time. So it doesn't matter which one you start in. You can always switch back and forth, whenever you want. So the organic view is going to be more familiar to those of you who've maybe made hand-drawn mind maps. Maybe you've read books by Tony Bazan. Maybe you've done mind mapping in school or university or in a workshop. This will be much more familiar to you. So we've got these curvy branches that you can manipulate. You can place the branches wherever you want. And it just looks a lot more hand-drawn. So in these particular mind maps, it works a lot better if you do stick to one word per branch. But you can also change these branches to block branches at any time. So where you've got sections where you've got just that little bit of extra text that maybe you want to contain, you can change that at any time as well. And then finally, we've got radial view map. So I won't be going too much into this view today. So I'll be focusing on pure mind maps, but you can switch to this style as well. We have actually done a webinar that focuses completely on radial maps. So if that is something you're interested in looking at, please go to our YouTube page after this session and you'll be able to watch a previous recording that I've done. So back to creating a new mind map. So today I'm going to start in the organic view. But if you're completely new to mind mapping and you want a little help getting started, we've got these templates available, and they're available to you even if you're a new free user, so to help you get started. So we've got templates which might be more relevant if you are in education, and then some templates which are more geared to those of you in work. And as time goes on, you can actually build your own templates as well that you can use at any time and share with other people, and I will go into more detail later. So name your mind map. You can add a little description. This may be useful if you're inviting other people to your mind map and you may not have a chance to speak to them first. It just gives them a little bit of context. And you can invite people to collaborate straight away. So if you haven't worked with anyone before, you can type in their email address and that will send them an invitation to sign up to the free version of Ayoa. And once they've registered, they'll be able to collaborate with you. If you've worked with people before, just click on the drop down or type their name, it'll be suggested to you. At this point, you can change people's permissions, and this basically just controls how they can interact with the mind map. So for example, if you wanted someone to only be able to see the mind map but not actually make any changes, you could change them to read only. Or if you wanted to give them complete control, you can make them an admin. And you can modify those permissions at any point, and I will show you how to do that once you've got the mind map open. So the cornerstone of your mind map will be your central idea. And this is where all your other branches will stem from. So your central idea, that could be a key topic that you're exploring. It could be a question that you're trying to answer. For example, in the name of an essay, maybe a project that you're working on. But basically, it should really give you an idea, a clear idea of what that mind map is about. The central idea should also be colorful and eye-catching. So you can choose one of the pre-made stickers that we've created, or you can start building one of your own. Choose a bright color, or even add an image. So you can upload an image from your device, or if you click search web, you can search for a royalty-free image and add that to your central idea. And then once you've chosen it, just click create central idea. And you can go back and modify this at any point by clicking on the paintbrush. This brings up your style options. So I can change the shapes, make it bigger or smaller. And even edit the image up here as well. If I want to edit the text, just need to double click, and this brings up the text options. So the default text is Open Sans. So this is a typeface which is much easier to read and recommended for those with dyslexia. But if you want to change it to a different text, just choose one of these options. And if you go up into the settings here, you can actually change the default text for this entire mind map. And just to let you know, I'm scrolling in and out using the scroller on my mouse. But if you're using a trackpad, you can use gestures as well. And you can choose how you're doing that in the navigation settings as well, just to make that smoother for you. So now that we've got our central idea, we want to start thinking about how to break this down into the key parent ideas. So parent ideas are basically almost like just breaking that initial question down into easy bite-sized pieces, like the absolute simplest components. So for example, we can just put getting started. Formatting. Speed keys. And you can see how quickly, this is to do. You can see that when I'm dragging this out, I can drag this out as far as I want, and I can place it, anywhere around the central idea. So, if you really want to be in complete control over how your mind map is laid out, then the organic mind map may be the one for you. So the key components of a good mind map are generally trying to stick to one word per branch. As you can see, I'm not always good at that, but rules are made for breaking. And I would always say that if you have gone over maybe 2 words, consider adding a box So you can do that in the style settings. So no box removes it, and adding a box puts it in. And you'll find that makes your mind map a lot easier to read. As soon as you start adding long sentences along this branch, you will find it tricky to read. So utilize these box branches. As well as that, we've got extra sections in here. So notes. So again, that's a great way of avoiding putting too much information on your mind map. Instead, you could put the keywords here and then add extra information about the notes. So you can also add images. And to add an image, again, just go to this paintbrush. And just like we had in the central idea, right at the top, we've got image and add. So you can either upload an image from the device that you're on. You can add an emoji icon. You could even draw an image in Sketch, or you can search for a royalty-free image here. If you are on the organic map and you're using one of these natural curved branches, you've got a lot of freedom, where you can place that image. You can make it bigger or smaller. If you prefer to frame it, click on the paintbrush and just give that that branch a box. If you click edit, you can then choose whether to have it right or left, or even just blow it up so that it becomes a cover image. So you've got a few different options to how you display those images. So when it comes to formatting, click on the branch and click on the paintbrush. You would have noticed by now that all the features to add images and change the style of your mind map are all in this first tab. So we can add a box here. You can change the box color if you're using one. Right underneath that, we've got the branch shape. So for any reason you don't want to use the organic style here, you can change it. And you can also change the color, and it doesn't have to be the same color as the box branch. And here you can change the box height and the box width. So if you want that same style to be applied to every branch that comes after it, just click Apply Style to Children. And that will save you lots of time. If you want to resize the boxes individually, if you click on this icon, you can do that there. So that'll be handy for you if for any reason you have got a box with a little bit more text in it than usual. So next I'm going to show you speed keys. So speed keys I think personally work really nicely when you're using the speed maps. So if you use tab, that adds a child branch. And if you click enter, that adds a sibling branch. So a child branch is just a branch that comes after this one, and a sibling branch is on the same level. So just to show you that again, click tab to add a child branch, so a branch that follows after the branch that you're on, and then click enter to add a branch on the same level. So that's how it looks on speed maps. On the organic map style, you can do it as well. But of course, you won't have quite the same experience of, dragging and dropping and creating those shapes. But you could mix up the two. So if you wanted to very quickly add a lot of ideas in organic style, you could do that. And then later on, you can stretch them out and modify them in the way that you want. So where the speed keys are really, really useful is if you're, trying to get out as many ideas as possible, and they work quite nicely in the speed map view because you're not having to worry about layout. They also work really well when you're collaborating with other people, as you can just get your ideas down without having to worry about who else is putting their images where. So one of the huge benefits of Ayoa is that you can collaborate with other people in real time. So when we created this mind map, we'd already invited a few other people, but if you need to add any more, just click add and invite them in. So when we first created the mind map, we already decided on a few permissions, but you can take more control over that in the settings up here. So here we've got the option who can delete other branches, categories, and relationships. So if you want complete control over that, to stop other people deleting other people's branches, change that to admin. And you can also stop people from inviting other people to the mind map as well. By changing that to admin, I can change this person now back to default so they won't have the same permissions as me. So when you're creating branches, you can have discussions with other people about those branches by using the comments section. So you can skip and open this quickly by clicking on the speech bubble. But if you've already got it open, just navigate to it by clicking on comment. So if you use the @ key, this will suggest the people who have been added to the mind map. And you can send them then a notification, and they'll receive a notification up here of this message. So rather than having multiple emails discussing something, you can have that discussion right on the branch itself. It'd also be a lot easier to find and refer to later on. As well as being able to create branches, you can also share documents and links as well. So if you're having a discussion and you've got maybe a web link, possibly a blog or a website that really backs up your idea, you can add that as a link right here. And you can add documents such as PDF, Excel, Word documents, anything you can think of. And once it's uploaded, you'll be able to access that on any other device that you log in on Ayoa with. Up here, we also have the option to show creators. And this will show exactly who's contributed what. So if you're having a team discussion where everyone's putting down, as many ideas as possible, you could later turn on show creators, and that will show exactly who's contributed what at a glance. You can also enable voting. And this adds another little icon as a thumbs up. And that way, if you are sharing multiple ideas and multiple options, people can vote on branches which they think are a good idea, or they'd like to develop further. So the next feature I'm going to show you is the idea bank. So in this menu, we've got lots of other extra options to choose from and utilize. So I'd recommend having a look and exploring this section, because there is lots and lots to look at. So the idea bank, you can click show idea bank, and this adds a new little icon at the top of your mind map. And this section, you can add ideas, which you can then later add to your mind map. So let's say you have all these great ideas, but you're not quite sure how to organize them yet. You can just type them in. Just quickly, type them all in. Just as soon as they're in your head, just pop it in there. And then later on, when you've got a better idea of where it really fits into the grand scheme of things, you can drag and drop it onto your mind map, and it adds it as a branch. You can choose whether you share those ideas with everyone, or if you just want to keep them to yourself. By sharing them with everyone, it also allows people to look at your ideas before you add them to the mind map. That's available up here. And right next to the idea bank, if you haven't spotted it already, this is our undo and redo button. So if you make a mistake, just use these buttons to undo it. So I'm just going to switch to a mind map that I've created earlier, which is our speed map view, and show you a few of our accessibility options. So in this menu here, you can access enable dark mode. So if you have any sensory issues and you find that the white background is just a little bit too much on your eyes, you can turn the dark mode on. Or if you don't quite need that, but you still aren't comfortable with a bright white background, you can change the background color. So we have a few muted shades to choose from here. Or if you've got a particular color in mind, for example, if you're dyslexic and you've been recommended to use certain hex colors, you can enter them in here and choose your background color. Within these settings as well, we've got the export option. So you can export your mind map as a PDF. So that will be a full export of your mind map in a high quality PDF, which is great for sharing with other people or printing out. We also have a Word document export as well. So what that will do, it will export your mind map as an outline. And I'll bring up an example once this is exported. Where this can be really useful is, if you find it very difficult to plan essays or reports, you can use the mind map to outline, the different ideas, maybe the different sections of your report, just to get you started. And this will help you outline it and help you prepare. In addition to that, as well as exporting the branches and the central idea, it will also export any notes that you add. So, if you've added notes, perhaps you've added a few paragraphs of ideas, that will be included in the Word export as well. Finally, we've got the image export. So if you wanted to drop the image into maybe an existing document that you have, you could export it as a PNG or a JPEG. We've got other options for sharing your mind map as well. So we've got an option called public sharing. So if you pop into the menu and click public sharing, what this allows you to do is create a unique web link, and you can share this web link with other people. And that way you can share your mind map without actually inviting them to the mind map. So if you're sharing this with people who already have an Ayoa account, you can allow them to vote on branches, add branch comments, or even add branches to the mind map. If the people you're sharing this link with don't have an Ayoa account, they'll be able to see the mind map as a read-only mind map, so they won't be able to interact with it. So this is really useful if you need to share your mind map with a large group of people, where you've got a mix of people who don't use Ayoa or do use Ayoa, and you only want to really share it with them temporarily. For example, a small team might be working on a couple of ideas that they just want to quickly get people's feedback on. They could open this up as a public sharing link. Just ask those people to just vote on a few branches, and then once that's done, they can turn the public sharing off, and it'll only be visible by the people who've already been invited. Exclusive for Ultimate users, we've also got a feature called Present. So if you've got Ultimate, you'll see this icon down at the bottom. And you can either choose to add individual branches. For example, if you just want to discuss key points, you can do that by clicking on the branch to select it and then clicking Add. Or I'm going to click Clear All to get rid of that. You can click Add All, and that will add all of the branches automatically to your presentation. So click on the central idea if that's where you want to start, then click Start Presenting. And then it's as simple as just using these icons to move back and forth through the presentation. And I can use my zoom to choose how zoomed in I want to be. I can be really flexible. So unlike a static slide where you're stuck with the view of the mind map, here it's really, really easy to zoom in and out and change the view. And then just click Stop Presenting to go back. And it's really easy to jump back into that at any time. So once you've created that presentation, you can go back to it. So earlier on, I showed you the pre-made templates that we have. And I mentioned that you can also create your own. So if you are a pro or ultimate user and you've created a mind map, which you think that's great, I can utilize this for other plans or projects I have, or even if you want to share them with other people, just go up to your settings. And in these settings, just scroll down to the bottom and click Create Template from Mind Map. So you can add a description. So example of template, and just click Create Template. So once you've created your new template, you can actually edit this. To make it more generic. For example, I could take out conflict, family, and just make this a little bit more generic so that it can be used for multiple essays. And then once I'm happy with that, when I go to create a mind map and click on my templates, you can see up here I've now got that as an option. So I could click on that and start a new mind map straight from that template. If I want to share that template with other people, so for example, if you are a teacher or an assessor or a coach, and you've created, mind map templates that you think would really benefit people that you're working with, click into My Templates. You'll see a list of all the templates that you've made. Click into the settings for that template and click Share Template. You can choose who you want to send that to and click Share My Map Template. They will then get a notification that it's been shared with them, and they can add that to their own library. Okay, so I've gone through some different ideas about how you can use your mind maps and the different features that we have. So what I'm going to do now is ask you guys if you have any questions or if there's anything else that you would like me to run through. I can see that there's one chat message. There we go. Okay, sorry I missed that question. Yes, we record these webinars. So, if you came in a bit later and you missed the start, don't worry. As you've signed up, you will be sent a recording tomorrow. So you'll be able to watch it from the start and rewatch it at your leisure. We also have our previous webinars available on YouTube. So if there are webinars you've missed before that you're interested in viewing, like our webinars on radial view, or you want like a more general webinar, we've got our getting started ones there as well. So while I'm waiting for some questions, I'm just going to give you some advice on where to find out more about Ayoa. So we've got a huge range of support guides at support.ayoa.com. And that covers all our various platforms. So Ayoa is available on iPhone, iOS, Android, web app, Mac, and desktop. And once you've signed up for an account, you'll be able to log in on any of those devices to access any of your mind maps. As I just mentioned, we do have a YouTube channel as well, and we've been putting up our previous webinars on there for you to view. And then if you've got any additional questions, you can contact us at support@ayoa.com and we'd be delighted to help. Okay, can you create summaries and or group items? So you can add categories, and that is a way of grouping items. I'm just going to open up that mind map that I created earlier. So if you select a branch and hover over other branches, I'm just going to zoom in, you'll see this little dot here. If you click into that, you can select multiple branches. So this option here, create category, it highlights those different branches. You can name your category. For example, let's call it marketing. And if there are any other additional branches that you wanted to add to there, you can add them in here as well. And by clicking on the style button, I can change the look of that category. I'm not quite sure what you mean by summaries. I understand the grouping items. Do you mean summaries like notes? So if you open up the side panel, we've got a notes tab here where you can add more information about the branch. So in notes, you could add a summary about that branch, and you could do something similar in the central idea. So in the notes, you could add a summary for the entire mind map, or if you go into the settings, you can modify the description. So that's a few different ideas of how you could create summaries. And if you missed it earlier, you can also export the mind map as a Word document as well. And that creates an outline of your different branches. Okay, I hope that's answered your question. But if it hasn't, just submit another question or pop me an email after this webinar at support@ayoa.com. Can you apply text style in a similar way as the color box style? At the moment, no. So if you are starting a new mind map, so like I did here, let me just create a new mind map. So if I create a completely new mind map, I can change the default text up here. So by default, it will be sans, but I can change that to a different font. And now every single branch that I add to this mind map will use this font. You can also change the default text that you use for new whiteboards and new mind maps in the settings here. So you can change that from Open Sans to other text, but it won't automatically update any existing mind maps or whiteboards. So just to show you that again, so I've changed that. You can see this new branch has that default text that I've chosen, but the central idea I would have to manually change. Okay, so just while I'm waiting for any more questions, just to let you know, we run these webinars on a weekly basis, usually on Wednesday afternoon UK time. And next week we'll be doing Getting Started, which is when we look at whiteboards, mind maps, and task boards, just to give you an overview of how you would get started and use basic features. Okay, so just one more feature that I can show you that I think we've missed is that we also have a feature that allows you to add relationship arrows. So if you select 2 branches and only 2 branches, you'll see there's an extra option on this menu, which is called Create Connection, and that adds a relationship arrow between the 2 branches. If you can't see the option, then what it probably means is that you've got more than 2 branches selected. So just double check how many things you've got selected and then try again. Okay, that seems to be all the questions. But if anything occurs to you after this webinar ends, just pop us an email at support@ayoa.com, and I'd be delighted to help. I hope you found this webinar useful and that you'll join us for future ones. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.